Good afternoon. It is 12:30 p.m., March 20th, 2019, and I wanted to show you the updates that I made to my digital notebook for the Learning to Program by Steve Foote library book I got. And if you're interested in learning how to program, it's a good book to give you a variety of information. So I do thumbs up that book. Anyway, it seems like when you get involved in a software design project that every time you think you're done, you're not done because you think, well, I think I'd like to improve it by doing this. Well, I really need to get away from this or I'm never going to get into my sequel book. But I want to show you a few of the things that I made changes. I'm not going to go over any code. I'm just going to go over some changes I made, and eventually I will do a video that has the code to all of this, but that's going to be a really long video and I don't want this to be that right now. As far as cross compatibility between different types of browsers, I was having an issue with my audio player being really different, and so I did make an adjustment here so that right here you're looking at it in Chrome. Hold on, let me open it in Firefox as well and go to the page that I'm on right now. Okay, so even though these still look a little bit different, this is it in Firefox and this is it in Chrome, at least I got them to be the same height. I believe the Chrome and Opera audio players were much thicker, and I wanted to make them both about the same, if nothing else, the same dimensions, even if they didn't look exactly the same. I didn't all out create a brand new audio player, but I did make a few adjustments, and I did like that. Let's see. I'm not actually on the same page. There, now I'm on the same page. So as I go back and forth, you can see the slight differences. Again, this is Chrome. Even this image over here in the corner looks a little bit different. This is what it looks like in Chrome, and this is what it looks like in Firefox. So the border changes. Also, when I go back and forth, you can see the sizes of these things to the left for my navigations. They seem to be moving ever so slightly. One thing I would like to do is get rid of this scroll bar right here because this doesn't really do anything and it makes the page look ugly. I thought I had that fixed, but somehow it's back again. Chapter 15 was the last chapter of this book, and if you recall, if you've seen any of my previous videos, I had, let me go be on the same page for both of these. I had my web page set up so that I would listen to MP3 of the particular chapter, but in segments. When I first created the page, I just had one long MP3 of the whole chapter, which was fine, but I thought, well, a lot of people don't have the patience to sit for over an hour and listen to stuff, but they might listen to it at a chunk at a time. So I wound up finding code where I can segment my MP3 file, and I used my H1 header here as the control. So for instance, if I hit version control, it would read just that portion, and then as you scroll further down the page, this is the information about version control, and then you finally get to, this was pretty long actually. You get to the next H1 header that's object-oriented programming, and you would have to click this header in order to get that portion of the MP3. For instance, I'll click it now. And you see how that first portion for version control took up 20 some minutes. So that was still rather long. A lot of people don't have the patience for that, but when you're studying, you don't really have a choice. So for object-oriented programming, I'm reading, and here's all of the notes that I took. And then you get down here to design patterns, and you click that, and then it automatically moves you up to that portion of the MP3 file. So I thought that was a pretty decent idea, but I even though I did type more than I really needed to, this was just supposed to be basically, shortened notes. What happens is you get to a certain portion and the reading isn't perfectly in line with what's here because I'm trying to shorten stuff. And also, there's like introductions that are read before you even get into some of the stuff that I put in here. So, I thought I might lose the reader by having to scroll throughout this entire chapter. It's, still it's not horrible, but the whole chapter's on one page. So by the time I finished chapter 15, I ran across some code online, and this is what it gave me. The ability to take a button, and this is a whole page here. I can scroll down here. It's just the same way all my single chapters were. The chapter 15 that you just looked at, you could scroll the entire page. But with this system, you could have the different subcategories up here. And instead of waiting until you see the particular H1 header or whatever object that you use to click and take you to that particular segment, this is cool in that you can click a button and it'll pull you straight to a certain section of the chapter. Now, I used fruit here. It's kind of silly, but it's simple. And a lot of times it's better to go simple when you're learning a new technique instead of making you think about anything other than what you're doing. So as you can see, I click all of these specific places in this page and it pulls it right up. And I really liked that concept, so I decided to try it with my final chapter 15, and that's where I took this code and implemented my information from chapter 15, and it gave me this. Now, I only have 3 sections of chapter 15: version control, object-oriented programming, and design patterns. So instead of the H1 element being responsible for taking you to the particular audio segment, these buttons are going to do that. These buttons are going to do 2 things. They're going to pull up that beginning portion of the notes, and it's going to attack the MP3 at the same time. So I click this, and even though you can't hear the MP3, you can see the seconds running here. It's actually playing, and that portion of my notes is right there. Now when I click this one, it does the same thing that the H1 click did. Brings it straight to where that begins, and then it pulls up that section. And then design patterns, same thing. And I thought this was a nicer way to do it because if you've got a chapter that might have, I don't know, 10 different segments, you might just want to, especially if this is a notebook, you just want to reference a certain part. You don't want to have to go here and scroll. Okay, oh my God, I know it was in this chapter, but where is it? It makes it a little bit better to reduce it to smaller chunks for your review if you need to go in here for something in the future. All right, I am not going, like I said, I'm not going over the code for that right now. I just wanted to show you the few changes that I made. I also took this little silly image that I've got over here and I made it smaller because it did seem to be taking up too much of the page. And when you click the top image, instead of that pop-up coming up, it says the particular day of the week. Like, you can't see it now, but it said Wednesday because the top image with transparency said Wednesday on it. And when I clicked that and made that top image disappear, the MP3 that just says Wednesday, you could hear that. And then if I click this one, I don't know if you heard that through my headphones or not, but it was just me being silly going, oh no, I'm disappearing. So it was just something a little it's kind of nice to add a little comical relief to programming code because sometimes it gets really, really tedious when you have a problem you can't figure out what the heck is going on, and you kind of have to humor yourself a little bit. So in my next video, I will go over all the code for this, and you're more than welcome to take it and do whatever you want with it. It's just a learning experience. All right, you guys have a great day. Bye-bye.